So by now you've probably almost certainly heard about World Mobile, their World Mobile tokens, and their mission to connect the unconnected. But today, let's take a little bit of a closer look at what World Mobile is, the scale of the problem they're trying to address, and how they're planning on doing it using their Ether, Air, and Earth nodes. It's time for the weekly report. Welcome back to Woodland Pools, your place for the latest Cardano news, tutorials, and the information you need to grow your investment with confidence. Today it's time for the weekly report. Let's jump in. So if you're unfamiliar with World Mobile, if we come here to their site, here they're talking about how you can run a node, but if we go to our story, World Mobile was founded with a far-reaching goal to connect everyone, everywhere, while advocating for economic freedom and dignity. There's nearly 4 billion people unconnected globally. That's half the world. And it turns out there's a reason. The mobile network industry won't invest in the last mile to reach remote places because it's not profitable enough, and it leaves half the world disconnected from digital society. And this is really important. This is not just like, oh, they can't go on Twitter and chat with us about Cardano. This is much more than that. Think about all the different inclusion opportunities that this provides. And Charles actually summarizes this really well.
You know, internet is so much more than just a utility. It's a human condition. It allows us to talk to each other, connect to each other, share ideas with each other. And it's the single biggest driver of change, usually throughout the world. It spreads freedom. It spreads financial freedom, economic identity. It gives you the ability to do business with people you've never met and never would have met if not for the existence of the internet. So this is a very fundamental human thing.
So if it's a fundamental human thing and half of the world doesn't have access to it, how is World Mobile going to address it? Unlike traditional mobile networks, they're based on a blockchain and sharing economy. Local business owners in unconnected regions can operate affordable nodes on the network and bring their community online while sharing the rewards with World Mobile tokens. And we're going to dig in much more into what this means here in a minute. So okay, if there's 4 billion people that are unconnected, let's try and figure out where they actually live. If we go to their slide deck here, talking about their global challenge, we can see here on the left, white represents where 75 to 100% of the people in that region are unconnected, and very clearly we can see that the largest area for opportunity here is in Africa. So that's why World Mobile's focus is initially in Zanzibar in Tanzania, and why they were featured in the Africa special nearly a year ago, because that is where they're kicking everything off and where their initial focus is going to be. But to get some more detail and a third-party perspective, I wanted to share with you all this article written by Mr. Goose, who some of you might know from crypto Twitter. It was written a while ago, 7 months ago, but it's really, really detailed, and wanted to share some of the highlights with you, and we'll also link it below. As mentioned on the World Mobile page, we have nearly 4 billion people lacking basic internet, so half of the world's population is suffering from this information inequity from the lack of connection itself. But let's keep looking here, and we were talking previously about Africa and seeing here how it looks like this is where we have a big pocket where there's little to no connectivity. And digging into that a little bit, as was clear by that diagram, Africa is by far the most unconnected continent on Earth, and this is actually striking. Only 22% of its inhabitants are connected to the internet. So when we say that half of the world is unconnected, 44% of that half of the world is in Africa alone. So a huge potential to start there, to start rolling these things out. But we keep saying rolling these things out and solving these problems. Let's take a look at what some of the actual problems are for the implementation and how World Mobile is planning on addressing them. So some of the known obstacles that the legacy telecom people are dealing with right now, we can see right here in terms of cost and efficiency, this jumps out immediately. We can see how all the fiber and cable lines are all around the coast of Africa. And if you look at the actual signal propagation and how much of it actually makes it inland, we can see that the further you go from these coastal areas, the less coverage there is, especially these areas up here in the northern end. And here on one of the edges here, here's Tanzania. This is where World Mobile is planning on first kicking off. So we can see the problem, right? So how are they actually going to address it? World Mobile aims to displace the intermediaries that plague the mobile economy incentive structure, like capital flight, predatory pricing, and antitrust, by creating a solution that prioritizes the people. World Mobile aims to leverage the sharing economy, which is an economic system meant to distribute assets or services between participants directly. And here's where we start getting to the 3 kinds of nodes and how they'll each work. So World Mobile will operate what they're calling the World Mobile chain, and it's going to be established by 3 layers of node operators: the Earth node, the Air node, and the Ether node. And let's actually look at them in reverse order. Let's start with the Ether node first. The Ether node is a connection between the World Mobile chain and the legacy installations. Its responsibility is to talk to the existing infrastructure in order to comply with regulation, correctly price products, and satisfy licensing agreements. So for the Ethernode, the way you can think of it is, before World Mobile gets to a point where they can actually propagate internet to people, first, at the very root connection into that country, they have to figure out what are the regulatory requirements, what are the different legal requirements, what are the different frequencies that they are and are not allowed to use in different bands and things like this. What is the kind of signal we can even bring to people in this country based on their laws and regulations locally in this jurisdiction? So then with all of that sorted and out of the way, then now all you need to do is just send the signal out to people, right? And that's where we get the air node. So the air node is the access point to the network. The earth node is the brain, and we'll get to that in a minute, but the air node is actually what propagates the signal out. And this is what's really interesting about World Mobile, is that there's not going to be just one kind of air node. An air node in a densely populated urban area might be a larger tower. In a remote area, it might be just a small repeater. So their whole idea with this mesh network is sort of a leapfrogging series of signals, and then in different places, there'll be different implementations of different solutions based on what's needed. And these air nodes are actually the big differentiating factor with World Mobile, where using the Ether node and figuring out how to make the connections and what they're allowed to do, the air nodes, they're just using existing technology and they're piggybacking on existing infrastructure that's already there. If there are towers they can rent airspace on, they'll do that. If there are mesh networks they can set up with these solar powered repeaters, then they'll implement those. But the air node is one really big piece of this sharing economy where any entrepreneur in any of these areas, depending on the need, what's available, and how much capital they have, they can stand up their own air node from a very simple one to a very complex one and then be part of this system and have their own small business of providing internet to that area depending on what they're able to bring. So then next, what ties all of this together is the earth node. And so the earth node is the brains of the World Mobile chain, and it'll operate the core logic for all other nodes. The earth node's broken up into modules that all connect to the central node, which is called the internode API. So if we look into the earth node and how it actually runs, it's going to have 4 main modules. And some of these will probably sound familiar. The authentication module is responsible for providing the digital identity interface for the blockchain. So this to keep track of identity registration, credential management, and who's who. And so when we think digital identities and pairing with the Cardano blockchain, the first thing that comes to mind is Atala Prism, since this is already available out of the box on the Cardano ecosystem. And that's exactly what they're going to do. The authentication module is going to be utilizing Atala Prism. So that's great because that's ready to go and it's a known thing. Then we've got the ledger module, which is responsible for recording public and private data on chain. This is where the Cardano blockchain comes in. The telecom module handles the communications function of the network, and this is actually routing calls and messages and things like that. And so for this one specifically, obviously, the closer the node is to the requesting traffic, the more priority it'll have. But the important thing to keep in mind is that the telecom one is the one that needs to be near the service, but the authentication and ledger modules can be anywhere because all they're doing is verifying and validating identity and then also working with the blockchain to save and record transactions. And then finally, the internode module is the most important, and it facilitates the connection between all these other 3 modules and the connection to the air and the ether nodes as well. So the interesting thing about these earth nodes is that someone that runs an earth node doesn't need to run all 4 of these modules. They can pick and choose depending on their geographical location and how much they want to take on in terms of responsibility in the network. And then obviously the rewards that are generated will depend on the amount of work that's done. And so when we talk about these rewards, similar to stake pools on the Cardano blockchain, these rewards are generated by the fees that they charge. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see here, for example, here are the users and the different things that they can do in interface. The node operators here get the transaction fees, process the transactions, and then those fees are in World Mobile tokens themselves. And here's where now anybody can participate. Anybody can delegate to one of these earth nodes, similar to how you can delegate to our Cardano stake pool. And as you stake to that pool, you share in the rewards. It's not totally clear yet the delegation strategy and sort of the breakdown of the rewards. And actually, if we look at their white paper and we go to this section specifically about transaction fees, we can see here they're denominated in World Mobile tokens, will be paid to the node operators who may in turn share the fees or participants who have staked World Mobile tokens to their nodes. So this is obviously still a pretty big question mark in terms of how this staking is going to work out and how the rewards are going to be shared. But either way, this all sounds very familiar in terms of this staking model of I'm going to designate some delegation to this pool and then I'll receive some proportionate rewards in return. And if this sounds familiar to the way that Cardano runs things, it's because it is. These generated transactions will be batched or grouped in blocks and using World Mobile Chain's consensus protocol, which is closely based on Cardano's Ouroboros protocol. So they're taking a lot of good cues from Cardano in terms of the staking methodology, how to come to consensus, how to share and designate rewards. But as we hear more details about the breakdown of these rewards for staking to private pools specifically, we'll be sure to share them. And so with that, for those of you that don't follow us on Twitter, we're excited to announce that Woodland Pools will be an official EarthNode operator with World Mobile. Again, as we said here, we'll share more details as we learn more, but all we know is we're excited to jump on board. We will be running an EarthNode, and once it's up and running, we'd love to have you come delegate to the Woodland Pools EarthNode, and ideally, there would be some kind of an interconnection between these different EarthNodes and traditional staking, and we'll see if we can try and figure out some way that both for delegators to the Aspen stake pool and to the EarthNode, how we can generate World Mobile tokens as rewards. Just sort of some thoughts we've been bouncing around in our head. So then in terms of how does all of this come together, if we go back to their slide deck and we go down to their roadmap, this was actually published almost a year ago, but from the latest updates we've heard, this all still seems to be accurate and on track. We're here right now in Q1 of 2022. They're continuing their deployment work in Zanzibar, and from what we've heard, this is actually going really well. And their plan for mainnet launch was in April of this year of 2022, and that's when the nodes would first begin to come online. And from what we've heard, this still seems to be the plan. Then from there, we can see how it scales out and their idea to be at like millions of users in the next couple of years. But the first onboarding of the first users should be happening in just the next few months. This is all evolving very rapidly, so let us know down below if we've missed any information that has recently come out, and let us know if you're as excited about the World Mobile rollout as we are. We can't wait to go on this next step with you, and we'll see you next week.